Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever been humiliated so publicly that time seemed to stop? Because that's exactly what happened to me. I was standing in the middle of my son's wedding reception surrounded by crystal chandeliers and champagne flutes when my new daughter-in-law lifted her glass, laughed, and said, "Everyone, I'd like you to meet the old fat pig we have to put up with." The room erupted in laughter, and that's when her father went completely pale. Before we get into what happened next, let me ask you this: where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments, hit like, and subscribe, because this story is one you won't forget. Let me take you back 2 hours earlier. 2 hours before that moment, I was standing in the church vestibule, fixing my son Daniel's bow tie. "You really did everything for this, Mom," he said, not quite meeting my eyes. He wasn't wrong. I paid for the entire wedding, every rose, every violinist, every place setting. Just over $280,000, not that I was counting. Daniel's father died of cancer when he was 12. I raised him alone. Worked 2 jobs. Built a business from the ground up. Everything I did for him. So when he told me his fiance's family had expectations, I said yes. That was my first mistake. The reception was held at one of the most expensive venues in the city. Gold accents. Ice sculptures. Guests dripping in old money confidence. And me. I wore an emerald green dress. Elegant. Understated. Quiet. That's why they misjudged me. So when Lena, my son's bride, made that comment, she expected approval. What she didn't expect was her father freezing mid-sip. He stared at me like he'd seen a ghost. "Wait," he stammered. "You're Margaret Cole, aren't you?" I smiled politely. "Yes." "The Margaret Cole," he whispered. "The incoming CEO of Cole Properties." The laughter died instantly. Lena turned to him, confused. "Dad?" No one answered her. Because what they didn't know, what no one bothered to ask, was that I owned 52% controlling interest in the company that funded their entire lifestyle. And my first official day as CEO was Monday morning. What I did next. I didn't scream. I didn't humiliate her back. I congratulated the bride, and walked away. Because power doesn't need to raise its voice. That night, alone in the bathroom, I stared at my reflection and realized something painful. My son had stood there. And said nothing. Monday morning. At exactly 9 a.m., I walked into the boardroom. Her father was already there, pale and shaking. I laid the documents on the table. Stock certificates. Board votes. Legal confirmations. "I now control this company," I said calmly. "And things are going to change." My demands weren't cruel, they were fair. Employee benefits improved, family nepotism ended, performance over entitlement, and yes, an apology, a real one. The truth comes out. The apology didn't come easily, but the truth did. During a late-night phone call, Lena finally admitted something that hurt far more than her insult. "She warned me about you," she said quietly. "Daniel said you were controlling. That you used money to manipulate him." I felt the air leave my lungs. My son, the child I sacrificed everything for, had turned my love into a flaw. That night, I sat alone with my late husband's photo and finally understood. I had given my son everything, but I never taught him how to stand on his own. When Daniel came to my house days later, I didn't yell, I didn't threaten. I told him the truth. "You wanted my money," I said softly but not my voice. "You wanted my support, but not me." He cried. "I didn't," because that was the moment I stopped being the woman people tolerated and became the woman they respected. If this story taught you anything, let it be this: never mistake quiet for weak, never mistake kindness for powerlessness, and never underestimate the woman who built everything while no one was watching. Thanks for listening.